Hi, welcome to Priestess Entrepreneur Kitchen Table Conversations. I'm Cindy Morris, your host, and welcome to my kitchen. You know, we are living in a pretty stressful time. I mean, I don't know how it was back before TV, but I know these days with all the stresses that we have in our lives, there are many ways that we try to relieve our stress. And some of these ways can be rather hidden. We don't like to tell other people about them. And they're kind of our own little private method of dealing with our stress, literally. And today we're going to be talking about some of those types of behaviors and how important it is to reach out for help and to know that no matter what your story is, there is help for you. Now, we are going to be meeting today with a priestess entrepreneur, of which I am one, and perhaps you are one too. A priestess entrepreneur is a woman who embraces the visionary and risk-taking, courageous aspects of an entrepreneur with her divinely guided passion for doing good work in the world as guided by her intuition. Now that's a big mouthful, but there are many of us doing really, really good work out there in the world, and I have one of them with me here today. I'd like to introduce you to Abby Rohr. Welcome, Abby. And Abby does some really, really interesting work, and I have to say I've been a social worker. I have a lot of training in mental health, and actually you work with a group that I had actually never heard about before. That's how hidden it really is. So welcome, and please tell us a little bit about your work.
Oh, Cindy, thanks so much for having me. I work with compulsive hair pullers, and I help them let go of the shame and also heal themselves from the inside out.
So I know there's a big name, a big scientific name that goes with hair pulling. What is that word?
Trichotillomania.
Trichotillomania. Okay, and what exactly is hair pulling? Is it pulling the hair really out of the head, or is it just yanking on it? What is it exactly?
Compulsive hair pulling, which is trichotillomania, is when somebody pulls hair, one hair at a time, often for hours a day. Some people pull eyelashes, some people pull eyebrows, some people pull their head hair.
And how did you come to find out about this?
Well, I was a compulsive hair puller for 27 years.
And how did you learn about it? I mean, how did you come to find that you were not the only one who does it? I would imagine that this is something done in the privacy of one's home and probably not talked about a whole lot. I mean, as I said, I had never heard of it.
Right. Well, I came to learn about it because, number one, I started doing it when I was about 12 years old.
And was that triggered by a particular event in your life?
It was triggered by a number of things I found out, but it wasn't triggered by something in that moment. It was triggered by things that happened over the course of my life up until that point.
So it could kind of come on at any time?
Right.
Okay.
You know,
it's not really an age-related thing.
Well, many people start hair pulling in puberty, around puberty.
Okay.
You know, the way I look at it is that's when I ran out of my ability to really cope in terms of having reserves to handle my life emotionally.
Because you'd already been tried enough and didn't really have what it takes to go through puberty, which is a big uphill climb.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you developed, as we do, we can develop behaviors that seem to, distract us from the trauma or distract us from the transition, or how does it work? I mean, is there comfort involved in doing the hair pulling?
Absolutely. Hair pulling to a hair puller feels different than pulling your own hair. Your hair would feel.
If you didn't have
it
that,
really feels good to a hair puller to pull, and they're pulling one hair at a time. It's not like they're pulling a big chunk of hair out, right? But pulling one hair at a time, there is something about it that feels good and really, for many people, soothes them or stimulates them.
So it's kind of like a thumb sucking for a child, or something where you do something repetitively and it creates maybe a rhythm or some, it's just a comforting behavior, even though it's probably not the healthiest thing
Right.
to do.
I
Yeah.
really view it as self-harm, but hair pulling for a hair puller meets a lot of needs.
Like,
Needs for acceptance. It really fills a relationship hole.
oh, you mean so the hair puller then has a relationship with
The hair pulling.
with the behavior.
Correct.
With the behavior.
Right.
Okay.
And that behavior in time becomes very addictive, and many hair pullers that I work with feel that that relationship with the behavior is their primary relationship in life, so
Right.
it's pretty big.
So if it stops, if the behavior is forced to stop without really dealing with what the issues are, that can be incredibly traumatic, I would imagine.
Right.
Right.
And most likely the person will channel that need into some other destructive behavior.
Unless the core issue is addressed.
Right.
So let's go back, Melissa. So you knew you were a hair puller. When did you know you were a hair puller?
Well, I started plucking my eyebrows at about age 11, which is kind of young, was young in those days.
Right.
Right. But it wasn't until I pulled my first head hair that I really, really knew. It was almost as if when I reached up and pulled that first hair, it was as if some kind of zing happened. There was a click.
Wow.
And in that moment, I was just hooked. Very addictive.
Very addictive. Well, because it's always there. You're playing with your hair or whatever. It's always there.
It's always there. It's free.
It's free.
24/7. It gives
Right.
a hair puller a place to really
Kind of release some tension, or
release tension, deal with feelings, shove feelings. I
Shove
guess.
feelings, right.
Yeah, shove them to the background.
while kind of focusing on something else.
Right.
Right.
Or even those needs I talked about,
Like,
like acceptance, like comfort, nurturing.
but it's
tactile.
but it's a distortion in the mind.
Absolutely.
It's a distortion.